did step on a lot of toes in Raleigh because people like that perk of deciding where the roads are going to go based upon their longevity or their power and things of that nature.
Well, we appreciate you holding true to what you felt was important because we're the beneficiaries of that now. Yeah. So we're out of that pure politics of the infrastructure. We need some more money at the state. So if you could get back into the governor's mansion and get us some dollars, that'd be wonderful.
Well, one thing I will say about that.
But we're going to move on.
No, I want to say one thing about money is that the infrastructure money is weak right now. And when you have one-time overruns in the budget, which we have right now, the state's in pretty good shape, although they don't count the unfunded liabilities, which is completely ignored in all states. Use that money on one-time things. Don't put it in an operating budget, and I say that at the local level. And that's what that money ought to be put toward capital of infrastructure now more than ever.
Great point. Puts a lot of people to work as well. So appreciate all the service you gave Charlotte, the state. Let's talk about some national things. You got involved in the no labels effort. Tell us about what caused you to get into that, and what did you learn throughout that process?
This was totally unexpected. About a year and a half ago, yeah, more than a year and a half ago, I got a call from Joe Lieberman, the late Joe Lieberman, and Ben Chavis, a North Carolinian, famous civil rights pioneer, part of the Wilmington 10, and I'm going, what are y'all calling me for? They saw that in my Senate race, how I kind of got attacked by the right like I was attacked by the left. I've been canceled. By the way, I've been canceled by everybody, and I'm okay. I'm okay because I say what I think, and I'm going to continue to say what I think, whether it steps on the left or the right. And so I got canceled by everyone, and No Labels was impressed by that. And Ben Chavis calls me up, and I was like going, you're the radical left-winger, you know, who calls all this destruction in Wilmington. I was thinking this while he was talking to me. And he thought I was a right-wing, you know, from what the media says about me when I was governor. And then we got together and we found out we agree on about 90% of the issues. And he said, would you come join me and Joe Lieberman as part of No Labels? Because at that point in time, and it may be still true today, 60% of the people were not satisfied with the two people running for president and who most likely would win. It's actually now 65%. And also, people aren't presenting solutions to Congress. So we would like to come up together with you with 30 items to present to Congress that we could reach consensus on immigration, on the deficit, on transportation. And so we wrote a booklet called Common Sense. And then the third goal was to continue what we call the Problem Solvers Caucus in Washington, to try to find legislators who actually will work together when there's a divided government instead of closing government down. And we became brothers, and I'm so sad to lose Joe Lieberman. He was just, everything you heard about him was true. He could care less about a political party, and he took a lot of heat for him. So when you see a commercial saying, I'm going to put country over party, right now the way the system is set up, you're forced to put the party over the country. I'm not blaming the individuals, it's just the way it is. If you want to move up in Congress, in the state or the federal office, you've got to do what your leaders say if you want to stick around and get on the committees that you want to get on and things of this nature. And there's money issues too. So the system is set up for this failure. It's not really a failure of individuals. Most people are very good. It's just like an organization and a company. If you've got a bad organization, you're going to fail. And so we wanted to challenge that status quo. And we almost got there. We almost had a very good candidate that never has been publicized, but it fell apart at the last minute. And we always said together that we'd never run if we were going to be a spoiler. And that's why I resigned, because we started considering other candidates that I thought would be a waste of time. So I did resign, but I resigned with great feelings about a very idealistic group, which I think we need more idealism right now in government. And so I'm proud to continue to be best friends with Ben Chavis, and I miss Joe Lieberman greatly. It was an honor.
Well, I appreciate your service and that effort. Somehow there's got to be more common ground, for sure. So tell us, we've got about 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3.5 minutes. Tell us about the new show on PBS, because I've seen it a couple times. The mayor referenced it. Well, she referenced several different titles, all which were not correct.
All right.
So tell us about the real one.
Well, this is unexpected. I don't know if y'all know, but since all the political campaigns, I started doing Meet the Press and NBC, and MSNBC didn't want me that much because I didn't say what NBC would want. I don't say anything that people want me to say if it's set up. So I don't care what station it is. But I'm still occasionally doing Meet the Press. But after I quit No Labels, PBS called me up and they said, would you be willing to do a show on PBS Charlotte? Kind of combining my radio show, my old radio show, with TV. And I do things like the McCrory Top 5. But the purpose of the show, called Unspun, on Friday nights at 8 o'clock, is I'm telling people what politicians think, but they're afraid to say. Because behind the scenes, I'd know if I ask every politician to raise their hand and say, do you think some things, but you can't say it for fear of retaliation? The answer is absolutely yes. It's happened my entire career, and I'm guilty of it too. There are some things you can't say that need to be said. And so the whole purpose of the show is to tell people what politicians are thinking but not saying. And 8 o'clock on Fridays, and you can pull it up on YouTube too. But I'm enjoying that. We hope to go national. So we'll find out probably pretty soon whether we get national PBS or not. And it's new for PBS. They're getting a lot of heat because I'm a Republican and I'm on PBS. So this is part of the cancel culture where if you're on certain stations, you can't have opposing opinions. And I think that's bad for America, that we cannot talk and have conversation together. Because most issues that we're dealing with are nonpartisan issues. In fact, the biggest issue, Pat, you're going to be dealing with, and I've got my good friend Terry who took me here, you know, your biggest issue in this area is going to be how are you going to develop and grow in the future? And it has nothing to do with the political parties. And you're going to have to work together and have that vision out there of how to proceed in the future and how do you want Gaston County to look 50 years from now. And, you know, I'm a man of very strong faith. We leave here better than we left it, right? We leave here and it's a better place than when we came, as opposed to the opposite. And that's the way you have to be thinking for you and the next generation and the generation after that. Because the decisions you're having now, Mayor and County Commission and State Legislature, the real impact won't be felt for 10 or 20 years. I'm proudest. Working with your mayor, by the way, and my former cultural secretary, Susan Klutz, and Sharon Decker, my commerce secretary, is we got the historical tax credit over a lot of objections from the legislature. And because of that historical tax credit that we got 9 years ago, 10 years ago, think of the new development of old mills and everything in this area since then that now are great housing. I doubt they would have been built without that tax credit. And that took a lot of grassroots work by Susan Klutz and your former mayor going to every town and holding press conferences. So that's the type of thinking we need in government now more than ever.
All right, that only happened one time. So Pat's classic. So tell us about Unspun, and now we're in historic tax credits, which are critically important and great thing that he did for us. All right, so this is going to be rapid fire. One question for you. You're a recovering drummer, and the Beatles is your favorite group, as I remember. Tell us your favorite Beatles song.
A Day in a Life. Yes. The last song on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And because it's about every day. I read the news today, oh boy, about a lucky man who won the war. And that's the way we have to take life right now. Take it a day at a time, take advantage of it, and think of something you got to do for tomorrow. And it's a pretty funky song if you ever play it, but A Day in a Life. Have y'all heard of that song before? All right.
All right. Well, Pat, I really appreciate you coming over. Terry, thank you for driving him. And please thank my friend Pat McCrory for joining us tonight.
Thank y'all very much. Appreciate it.
My name's Eric Clay. I am Vice President of Mecca Commercial Real Estate, located here in Gaston County. I'm also the past chair of the Gaston Business Association, so I really appreciate everybody's support. I'm sorry I didn't get to say hi to everybody. A lot of friends. So anyway, before we start, this is really a special occasion, and it's tonight. I'm really honored to present the first inaugural Spirit of Main Street Award. Just a little bit about my company. This award ties right into what we do every day. We're a full-service real estate commercial company here in Gaston County. We really think of ourselves as real estate solution providers for our clients. Every day we're doing commercial brokerage, we're doing development, consulting, property management. So we really touch all the full money of commercial real estate. So this award and our collaboration with the GBA, and it really, we do this every day. So this really ties into to what we do. So anyway, let me read something about what this award is. The Spirit of Main Street Award celebrates a development project that significantly advances shared prosperity, economic vitality, and quality of life in one of Gaston County's downtown districts. The criteria for this award are comprehensive, highlighting the multifaceted impact such projects must have. This includes contributions to the local economy, distinctiveness and character enhancement, community engagement, and inclusivity, adaptation and resilience, sustainability, collaboration and partnership, innovation and creativity, and overall impact investment in the region. Thank you, Pat, for making me say all that. So it is with great pride this year the award goes to Alchemy Co-working. Come on up, gents. So for those of you who don't know these gentlemen, this is Preston Wilson and Keanu Trujillo, and they have formed a partnership that transformed the former Smith drugstore located on Main Street in Gastonia into what it is today, which is a beautiful building. And I'm hopeful that all of you know who I'm talking about. I met Preston probably 20 years ago. Probably 20 years ago. I don't know if you remember this or not, but we were in a building in downtown Belmont, and I was there, and Preston walked in with his baseball hat and jeans, like he usually. This is not his usual appearance, and I was probably wearing a suit that I've worn 3 days in a row because I didn't have any money, and my dad made me wear a suit every dang day. Thank you, Dad. But Preston walks into this building on Main Street. And he's looking around and he's telling me all these different ideas that he wants to do with the building, and I'm, glasses half full kind of guy, and I'm nodding my head up and down, and we leave, and I lock the door and I turn around and walk away. I'm going, that guy's out of his freaking mind. Like, there's no way you're gonna pull it off. But I was so dead wrong about Preston, and for those of you who don't know him, he's really had a huge impact on Gaston County, multiple downtowns, Belmont, Mahali, Cramerton, and McAdenville. He's been a great partner for us in McAdenville on our Main Street and transforming it. Just a spectacular partner to have, and so we appreciate all you do for Gaston County. I can't imagine the economic impact that you have had on Gaston County and what those dollars mean for our tax base, so thank you for what you've done. So Keanu was smart enough to bring Preston in as a partner in this, and I first met Keanu probably 2 years ago, and he came to my office with John Church, and we sat down and we talked for a long time, and Keanu had this vision and idea of what he wanted to do, and so after we talked for a little bit, I said, Keanu, well, do you have a business plan? Usually when I get a business plan, when I'm dealing with a potential tenant in a building, I get maybe a 1 or 2 pager. Keanu pushes over a 3-ring binder that's like 20 pages deep at least, right? So the success of what Keanu has done with this business, it's not a mistake. It's very intentional. It's very thoughtful in everything that he's done. And I tell you, you just think about what the GBA stands for and what we want to do, collaborate. What's the last connect? He did it all. He was very patient, and as a result of it, this building has turned into something very special for our Main Street in Gastonia, and I applaud you both for that sincerely. So it's with that and in recognition of all these achievements, it's really my great honor to present you with the honor for the Spirit of Main Street Award to Alchemy Co-working. It's all yours. Congratulations.
All right, Pete. Preston, you can go ahead and make your way back to the seat with the hardware. The worst thing that I could have had Preston do is stand up here and stare at me while I deliver some words that I prepared here. So go ahead and take the hardware back, Preston. Protect that. Before I get to the words that I prepared tonight, I did have a couple of words that Preston had me share on his behalf. He's a man of few words, but a man of great impact. Appreciate it. Thank you, Preston. And thank you to Mecca, to Gaston Business Association for the honor and for this award. It was so fitting that Eric and the Mecca team would be the sponsor for this award, given the time that he did spend with me early on in the vision casting of what did become Alchemy. The 3-ring binder, he gives me too much credit. It's because I have a lot to say and I don't know when to stop. So I got a easy 47 minutes up here, and then I'll let you all get on with the night. But really, I was told as long as I can stick to a time less than Mayor Stoltz, I'll be okay. So that's really my ceiling for the evening. Thank you, Mayor. It was wonderful. I was hoping if we just let you keep talking, we can get to really the secrets of Mr. McCrory over there. But I just wanted to take a second to take all of this in and just really express the gratitude for this community. I don't know any other place in the world where a small town boy like myself from New Mexico, I'm from if the middle of nowhere had a middle of nowhere. So if you look at New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado, all of their middle of nowheres, they pushed them all together, and that's where I was born. So the middle of nowhere had a middle of nowhere, and where I come from, entrepreneurship is not something that's encouraged. It's not something that's culturally understood. I like to say it was really hard to dream when you're just raised in a culture that's trying to survive. And building a business or owning a business, I didn't know that that was even an option. But I always felt like I was called to more. I always felt like there was something within me that I wanted to give more. And I was always looking for these different places to do it. So coming out of high school, I went to play college football, and I thought I was going to go to the NFL. Well, you see my height, okay? In New Mexico, I'm a really tall Mexican. I can say that. You can't. I'm a really tall Mexican. But then I went to Colorado State, and I was extremely average. I knew I was not going to... Thank you. Go Wolfpack. Going to Colorado State, I realized I wasn't going to go to the NFL, and I wasn't helping my family. My family at the time was going through some issues. I had a sister that was battling drug addiction, and it's really common where I come from that an aunt or a grandmother or a grandfather or a cousin ends up raising someone else's kids. And I realized that I wasn't helping by being there, not knowing what I wanted to go to college for. So I went to work into corrections at 18. And dealt with county corrections. I wanted to go into law enforcement. So at 20, I joined the Army National Guard, and I spent some time there. I promoted, and at 21, I went into law enforcement. And I was always looking for that thing that was more. Now, granted, I had already set the level of expectation or the standard for my family, because graduating high school is the standard, right? I was, really exceeding beyond that point. But I didn't really find what I was looking for until I got to Gaston County. It wasn't until I got here, and I was thinking, what's wrong with you? Thank you to my wonderful, amazing, patient, beautiful wife who believed in me. After 6 months being married, I said, I think I'm going to apply to this church in Elevation, in North Carolina called Elevation. And she said, are they hiring? I said, I don't know. She said, have you ever been to North Carolina? I said, I don't know, but I feel like God's telling me to apply there. And she said, okay, good luck. And then she followed me out here, and really, boy, did she have an eye for potential. If any of you need recruiting service for your business, she could find a diamond in the rough, trust me. But she followed me and she supported me, and I was getting to a point in my life where I felt like something was wrong. And it was the entrepreneurs of this community that showed me it's not what's wrong with you, Keanu, it's what's right with you. You're a terrible employee, yes, but you weren't built to be an employee. You were built to employ. You were built to build businesses. You were built to be an entrepreneur, and I didn't even know how to spell entrepreneur. But they said, Keanu, you have that in you. And they inspired that belief. They inspired that mindset Then when I quit my job in June of 2020, because that was a really good time to quit your benefits and your job, and your wife is going to school to be a teacher, and I went all in, Summer and Preston Wilson surrounded me and said, we're going to be your first client. And then I said, I can't work from home. I either want to watch The Office at noon or I want to work at midnight. I need a place to work. And Preston says, well, I have a room. You can use the room. And I said, Preston, I don't know how to manage my finances. I know I shouldn't be doing my business account out of an extra USAA account. This is wrong, right? What should I do? So he gives me his financial controller. And these entrepreneurs instilled the belief, the mindset. They gave me the place. They gave me the support. They gave me the services, which really inspired what now became Alchemy. I said, I want to do what these entrepreneurs did for me and take that, what was out of the kindness of their heart, and systemize it for others to be exposed to entrepreneurship, to be exposed to business. And Alchemy was born. And after 3 years, we're now here celebrating today. But Alchemy, the definition is a process. It's the process of taking something ordinary and turning it into something extraordinary. And Alchemy and myself and what we're doing in downtown Gastonia, it's the alchemy not of what we've done, but what of so many of you have done to sacrifice and your dedication and your hard work over the years. Mayor Stoltz, the late Mayor Garland, Christy Crisp, since 2001, believing in downtown Gastonia and what it could be. This is the alchemy of all of that hard work, and God had laid out these plans before us, so we're just thankful to walk in them now. And this award is not a finish line for us. This award is not a culmination or a reward for us. It's just a seed that will continue to pour back into the community for what we intend to continue to do to support the spirit of Main Street and to represent that always. So thank you, GBA, thank you, Mecca, and thank you all. God bless.
Well, good evening. Congratulations to Preston and Keanu. That's a great story. It's exciting to see what's going on Main Street there. It's really exciting. You could feel it. You could feel the energy in the room tonight. You're all a good-looking bunch of people, too. You're looking good out there. So, but my name is John Forgan. I know many of you, and as Eric said, I didn't get to see all of you tonight, but it's great to see you all dressed up, coming out for such a great event. I am the fortunate opportunity to present the next award, or talk about the next award tonight. But my name, basically, I'm coming from First Horizon Bank. I'm the president of the market for about the 7 counties around Charlotte, and been doing this in Gaston County for probably about 17 years now. Been here, been part of the chamber for GBA, not chamber, previous chamber, for 14 years. Seen a lot of changes, lots of people coming and going, lots of different things happening here in the community. Been on multiple times on the board, seen lots of things just rolling back on the board. Refreshing to see lots of great different things going on. So great job, Eric, under your tenure. Good stuff, and lots of great stuff going on with Carrie this year. So, but, you know, we've been around as a bank for about 160 years before the Civil War, and been through a lot of cycles, lots of different things, seen lots of different changes. But we believe, the one thing we do believe is in communities, right? And we believe in giving back, being part of the community. My team that's here tonight, you know, I really want them all serving on boards, being part of the community. You got to be part of things. You got to step up, right? And that's part of what we want to do as a bank, but that's part of what all of you are doing here every night, right? So it's really exciting to be here and just talk a little bit about the award, because that's what you're really here. You don't want to hear any more about from me, but you want to hear about this award and the potential next recipient here. But the Spirit of the Economy Award embodies the essence of what makes our region thrive. This award recognizes an entity who has shown exemplary dedication to driving economic growth and business success in Gaston County and North Carolina. The nominee for this prestigious award must have made significant contributions to the economic development of Gaston County and North Carolina through job creation, revenue generation, and local investments. Additionally, the nominee should demonstrate innovative practices and a strong commitment to entrepreneurship and economic growth, proven efforts in workforce development, talent acquisition, and employee training are essential, showcasing a dedication to enhancing the local labor force. Active involvement in the community, initiatives, partnerships, and collaborations is a key criteria. The nominee must also show the ability to adapt to changing economic conditions and the market dynamics while maintaining a strong commitment to economic prosperity. Efforts in expanding market reach, attracting investment, and promoting Gaston County and North Carolina as competitive business destinations are crucial. Strong financial performance, a positive growth trajectory, and strategic investments are important indicators of success. Lastly, the nominee should positively influence other businesses and entrepreneurs, serving as a role model and inspiration for economic development efforts in the region. Congratulations to all the winners tonight for their outstanding contributions. Together, we are building a brighter and more prosperous future for Gaston County and North Carolina. It's now my privilege to introduce Debbie Winley, who will present the Spirit of the Economy Award this evening. So give Debbie a hand, please.
Good evening. Indeed, it's a pleasure to be here. It's great to see all of you here at this event tonight. I brought some hats with me, and I want to share a little bit with you about these hats. These are not tangible hats, although I did bring several of them up here with me. But in trying to decide what would best be the approach that I could use in talking about this award and the recipient of this award, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my particular association with this organization. I've been an educator at Belmont Abbey. I've taught in the ADP program. I've taught traditional students, and I've supervised business interns. I've also been Rotaract sponsor at Belmont Abbey College. I've been a consultant for Belmont Abbey College. I've been corporate and foundation relations director for Belmont Abbey College. And most recently, I'm the parent of a graduate student at Belmont Abbey College. But the main thing that ties all of these things together and ties all the different ways in which I've been able to be involved with Belmont Abbey College are three primary characteristics or virtues that are important to me and that I share with Belmont Abbey College. And the first of this is faith. Faith is extremely important to me. And that faith is extremely important to all the decisions that are made at Belmont Abbey College. The second one is integrity. Being a person who says the truth, being a person who lives the truth, being a person who espouses the truth and wants to see that characteristic inbred into another generation of students. The last thing is commitment to excellence. The approach that Belmont Abbey uses with its students, as well as those others who are employed there, is a commitment, a drive to excellence, to do all things as unto the Lord, to do all things with excellence as it approaches the every aspect of developing new courses, developing classes, developing integrity and the future lives of students that attend Belmont Abbey. There are a couple of statistics that I heard in the last couple of days that I wanted to share with you. This one in particular was very interesting to me. I asked our college relations team to do a quick search and say how many Belmont Abbey graduates are actually living in Gaston County. I thought this was somewhat surprising. Anybody have a guess? How many Belmont Abbey graduates do you think are in Gaston County? 4,000? Any other guesses? 1,000? How about 10,493? I'm going to say that again for emphasis. And I know some of you are in the room here tonight as well, but there are 10,493 Abbey graduates living in Gaston County. I had the privilege to reach out to 3 of these graduates in the last day or so and ask them to tell a little bit about what is it about the experience at Belmont Abbey that meant so much to you. These names are going to be recognizable to you, starting with U.S. Representative Patrick McHenry, a graduate of Belmont Abbey College, and a true statesman and someone who has spent his entire adult life in service to his state and to his country. This is what Patrick had to say. Belmont Abbey College remains one of the most formative influences in my life. It's a very special place where students not only thrive academically, but also undergo profound spiritual growth. For close to 150 years, the devoted monks and faculty of Belmont Abbey have dedicated themselves to shaping young minds for the dynamic challenges of the world. I'm honored to include myself among those who have been deeply impacted by the transformative power of Belmont Abbey. That's Patrick McHenry. Another one, Vincent Ginsky, Director of Workforce Competitiveness at the NC Chamber Foundation. The Abbey transformed my mind and my spirit. The experience there prepared me to approach life spiritually, personally, and professionally with an exceptional foundation upon which I could continue growing. The Benedictine hallmarks, especially the vow of stability, have had an incredible impact on my life, so much so that it contributed to my decision to remain in Gaston County after graduation. And the last one, Megan. Where are you, Megan? Is Megan? There's Megan. Stand up. This is another graduate of Belmont Abbey. She also happens to be marketing and event manager for the Gaston Business Association. So I reached out to her and said, Megan, do me a favor. Tell me what the Abbey meant to you. And this is what she said. My time at Belmont Abbey was a unique chapter in my life. In those early years, it was a sanctuary of support and structure, guiding me through each new challenge. As my graduation approached, the Abbey ensured that I was equipped and ready to face the world with confidence, standing tall on the foundation of all that I had learned. With the Abbey's support, in my final year, I secured an internship with the Gaston Business Association, an opportunity that unveiled the unique charm of Gaston County and its vibrant business community. This invaluable experience paved the way for my career post-graduation. And she ends with this: without the Abbey, none of this would have been possible. Even before graduation had occurred, Gaston County had become my home. While I initially chose Belmont Abbey for its proximity to Charlotte, it was Gaston County that made me stay. And those are just 3 representative comments of the 10,000 plus graduates of Belmont Abbey that have called Gaston County home. There's one statistic I wanted to share with you from the standpoint of economic development that I thought was especially telling. Payroll and operational spending of Belmont Abbey College, together with spending of its students, visitors, alumni, created $47.5 million in additional income to the Gaston County economy. That was in a recent year. Beyond the students, beyond the economic numbers, there are some other ways that I think we could also take a look at Belmont Abbey College as an example of a quiet, steadfast community partner that is more interested in the impact of Gaston County than in glorification for itself as an organization. So I wanted to share with you a couple of other things that I remember or came across recently. Leadership Gaston. Do we have some graduates from Leadership Gaston here tonight? Yeah, me too. I was in the greatest class of 2001. Donnie, I know you were in that one as well. But I know there may be some debate about that. Belmont Abbey was actually one of the original partners that started Leadership Gaston for Gaston County and remains very active every education day, either bringing students to campus or providing resources from the Abbey to be able to share with the members of that particular group. Another thing, about 2018, I was approached about the idea of coming up with the leadership of the college with a way to better connect with and interact with the business community. And so, under the direction of the leadership of the college, we launched the President's Community Roundtable. A lot of you attended those particular meetings. A lot of you served on panels. We talked about issues that were immediate and important impact to Gaston County. It was not about Belmont Abbey. It was not a chance to glory in Belmont Abbey. It was a chance to us to very humbly invite people to campus to say, this is what's happening in our community. This is how we can come together to better partner. Another partnership that is a great one that Belmont Abbey is very excited about Did you know that there's a partnership between Belmont Abbey College and CaroMont Health? I didn't know. Don't know if you're aware of that, but there's this beautiful new building that you can see from 85 that is growing on the campus of Belmont Abbey College, and that is CaroMont Health, the Belmont campus. And what a beautiful building it is, and what a great testimony that is to the power and the importance of partnership. In addition to that building, another partnership that's emerged from that particular, these two organizations, is the nursing program that was started at Belmont Abbey. This May, the first graduates in the first 3 programs of nurses at Belmont Abbey College are graduated, gainfully employed, and affecting lives in the area for the good as they pursue their professional careers as nurses. We enjoy partnerships with Gaston College, Gaston County Schools, certainly enjoying a strong partnership with the Gaston Business Association, as we are working strongly with both businesses and the Gaston Business Association to make sure that the Abbey is meeting the professional workforce development needs of Gaston County. There are 30 majors, 45 minors, 8 new graduate programs, but it's still not enough. We want to make sure, the Abbey wants to make sure that they're meeting the needs of the community, whatever those may be, as it relates to education and workforce development. A couple of other things, and I'm finished. The Rotary Club of Gastonia and the Belmont Rotary Club worked together to help us launch the Rotaract Club at Belmont Abbey. It's been a strong force for Rotaract. It's been a strong force in the community and was recognized at the district conference this year for Rotary as the top Rotaract club in the district. So we're very excited about that for those students. And then finally, last year, the college was the recipient of some wonderful grant funding from the state to be able to move forward with beginning to think about a visual and performing arts council center on campus. But the amazing thing to me, and the thing as much as anything else that just makes me so happy and excited to be a part of what's happening at Belmont Abbey College, the first thing was not, how are we going to use this money to help Belmont Abbey College? The first thing was, how can we get the community involved to see what the community needs are, to see how we can pull together a team of experts, resident experts, local folks that we can start making site visits and decide exactly what the community needs and how we can work together to make that happen. So in appreciation for Belmont Abbey College, in appreciation for the numerous hats I've been able to wear there, it's my pleasure, especially for Abbott Placid, as well as for Dr. Therfelder, to say hats off to you for the great job that you are doing, the leadership, the vision that you've cast for the college, and in the quiet, unassuming way that you're truly impacting the economic development of Gaston County. So congratulations, and thank you.
I won't even try to raise that up to the right height. Good evening, everybody. I just want to express my profound gratitude to you, to Gaston Business Association, to Pat Mumford, to the board, to First Horizon for this wonderful recognition. You know, certainly economic development is vital to making Gaston County the incredible place that it is to live and work and pray and play. But it begins with love of God, love of family, love of neighbor, and love of country. And it's really built upon the friendships, those that are in this room, those that are here throughout this county, that are really remarkable kinds of friendships. Aristotle talks about friendships, and he says there's basically 3 kinds. And the first 2 are sort of accidental. They're nice, they're okay, they're either based on convenience or they're based on shared interests. Those are fine. But he talks about this 3rd kind of friendship, and it's a rare and long-lasting friendship. It's the kind where you only want the good for the friend's sake alone. If you had one of those friends in your life, you're blessed beyond your ability to be thankful enough for it. I have found living here in Gaston County, I'm overwhelmed with the numbers of those kinds of friends. One of them tonight is being honored, Chris Peak. This is how things happen. When you talk about economic development, it's not some mathematical formula. It comes from friendships. It comes from relationships. Chris and I got to know each other. I remember we're having lunch one day, and suddenly he says, "What would you think about putting a hospital on your campus?" And I was like, "Well, when do we start digging the hole?" But it's that kind of friendship that makes these kinds of things happen. And maybe the last thing I'll leave you with this evening is this. When I meet with parents, prospective students, the one thing that I tell them, and I have a white beard, so I've been around for at least a little bit of time, but what I tell them is be careful that you don't underestimate the skills, talents, and abilities that you have been blessed with. You have been given more than you know, and every single one of you in this room, I share that message with. And it is about the parable of the talents. It's Matthew 25:14-30. Each was given according to their ability, but every one of them was asked for the same thing. They were all asked to double what they were given. And for those that know statistics, doubling means 100%. It means giving back all. And so what I am saying to you tonight is that in Gaston County, if we commit ourselves to doubling our talents, I know that God will help us to become all that He wants us and Gaston County to become. And so again, I thank you very much for this honor this evening. It's very kind of you. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Well, I'm not nearly as tall as you. As a graduate of Belmont Abbey, congratulations. And oh, there you are, Eric. Good, because I didn't know if I was going to need your glasses. So you're not too far. Yeah, I might. I'm not going to lie. So good evening. It's an honor to be here celebrating the Gaston Business Association's Salute to Business. I am Jen Thomas from South State. It's a fun joke, kind of like Jake from State Farm. Jen from South State. As a proud sponsor of the Spirit of the Carolinas Award, I'd like to take a moment and share a bit with you about South State. South State is one of the leading regional banks in the Southeast. Locally, we have 5 offices serving the Gaston County market. For over 80 years, we've committed to providing exceptional financial services to individuals, families, and businesses across the Carolinas. Our mission is to help our customers achieve their financial goals while contributing to the economic growth and well-being of our communities. South State's culture, values, and approach to serving the customer are what drew me to the company. A few of our company values that speak the most to me are local market leadership, creating meaningful and lasting relationships, and personal purpose. Janet and I are honored to support our community and do so with the full support of our leadership team. They allow us to make decisions that best serve our customer. And to show their support, I am joined this evening by Jay Reagan. He's our North Carolina Group President, and Jonathan Weathers, our Charlotte Regional President. Janet and I have the freedom, authority, and responsibility to create remarkable customer experiences, which foster meaningful and lasting relationships. South State encourages each employee to pursue their personal purpose in life. This allows me to be fulfilled in a career that I have totally loved for over 30 years, while keeping my family a top priority and serving the community I've grown up in. I am honored to be a part of the South State team. South State is proud to be the presenting sponsor of the Spirit of the Carolinas Award. This award is designed to recognize a person that has made a long-term impact on the economy, community, and cultural fabric of Gaston County. The recipient of the award embodies exceptional leadership and vision, driving the success and growth of their company within the Carolinas region. The honoree demonstrates professional excellence, recognized through their achievements, accolades, and leadership within their field. They are engaged in advocacy efforts, promoting policy and initiatives that advance the interests of the industry, workforce, and community. Their ability to collaborate with stakeholders and community leaders to drive innovation and foster economic growth is remarkable. Tonight, we celebrate someone that exemplifies these qualities and more. I have known this individual for over 3 decades. Chris Peak, CEO of CaroMont Health, is one of the kindest, most humble individuals I've ever had the pleasure to know, and he is so deserving of this honor. Knowing him, I know he will not take credit for the success of his hospital. However, we all know great leaders breed great success. So it is my honor to introduce the individual who will present this award. Please join me in welcoming Jeff Booker to the podium. Oh, and Chris, I would like to publicly thank you and your amazing team for the excellence and the care that was given to me during my time in your hospital last year. Thank you.
Well, like many of you, I have attended this event for a number of years. And we have listened as leaders have been recognized for what they have done for both their companies and our community. It is unique tonight to recognize someone who leads an organization whose vitality is critical to our economic health, but also our physical and emotional health. Tonight, we recognize someone we all know and many of us call a friend. However, I want you to go back to 2017. Our hospital was once again an organization in transition. After more than 32 years of leadership, we were facing our 4th leader in 8 years. What is the board of CaroMont thinking? Who is this guy was asked more than once, and candidly, by many in this room. We quickly learned who Chris Peak was and is. During his first 90 days as CEO, he got out and met people, and he talked. And at one of his events, Bill Petit for the Gazette was there, and he chronicled, stating, Peak started with remarks of a children's poem. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. Humorously, Peak said, no, it wasn't an episode of domestic violence, nor was it an OSHA event at the hospital. But what he speculated was that Jill fell down because she followed Jack without her own plan. He stated every sector of the economy faces challenges. Every sector must be adaptive. And to accomplish that, each person, each business, each industry must have its own plan in place. He went on to say that CaroMont was on a solid foundation, and that foundation was made up of bricks of compassion, accountability, respect, and excellence, and at all times, safety. Well, what did Peak do with that 2017 foundation? So just think about it in 7 short years. Number 3 hospital ranking in North Carolina by Business of North Carolina. Top 100 hospital ranking in the United States by IBM Watson. Annual recognition by U.S. News and World Report as the best hospital in North Carolina. More grade A designations for safety from the Leapfrog Group than any other healthcare provider in this entire region. Significant expansions of outpatient delivery services, with practices expanded in Belmont, opened in Bessemer City, Cherville, Cramerton, Dallas, Lake Wylie, and Morris Chapel. Capital investment in this community, $120 million expansion of the main hospital with the construction of the South Tower, a facility that has 78 of the finest critical beds in the entire, not state, but country. He developed critical workforce development partnerships with all the educational systems, the county schools, the Gaston College, Belmont Abbey College, and also with the University of Gardner-Webb, Lenoir-Rhyne, Northeastern, and Queens. As was mentioned, the vision for the Belmont facility, a $250 million investment in our community. And in addition to that hospital, there'll be a specialty orthopedics and neurosurgeon facility there. All that was done while maintaining a AA bond rating from Standard & Poor's. Not many people can spend $300 million and maintain a AA rating with Standard & Poor's. Now, I realize many of you are saying, when will he quit reading all this off? But I can assure you the most comfortable, uncomfortable person in this room with me reading that is Kenneth Crease Peak. Because he will deflect. He will give credit to the sanitation engineer and brag about how she's continuing her education through a program the hospital has. He will talk about a surgeon and the new innovative process that they've introduced. And it'll be something like this. I'm just proud to be part of the organization. I watch our employees do amazing things every day. That's what he's thinking. But you know, I like to read a lot, and Andy Stanley has a quote, and he says, people say they want a leader with character, but what they want is clarity. Well, in choosing Chris, the CaroMont board knew about character. He's a guy that grew up on the west side of Gastonia, the son of a truck driver turned preacher. But that's where his foundation began. His father taught him that with faith, hard work, and a willingness to learn, he could do anything. That philosophy has been the cornerstone of his success. He attended Victory Christian School all the way through, and it was at valedictorian of the high school. But like several people, he had a challenging financial position, so he worked his way through college, going first to Gaston College and getting his 2-year degree, and then going on to UNC Charlotte. In fact, while he was there, many of you may have hired him to perform work because he bought his own equipment to install gutters and repair gutters so he could work his way through college. But when he finished there, he was an honor graduate of the Belk College of Business. But he returned to his roots, teaching math in high school at Victory Christian. But while there, he learned of an opportunity in Atlanta and moved to Atlanta for 10 years working for the Salvation Army in their HR department. After that time, he returned in 2006 to Gaston County, living here but working in Mecklenburg County as the director of HR for Mecklenburg County. After 7 years of leading the HR department, he was promoted to deputy county manager and chief of staff. It's from that position that he joined CaroMont. But all through that, he was married to his high school sweetheart, a girl from Hunter Huss on the west side of town. And he drugged 2 little girls around with him. And the best thing about him for being in Atlanta was he was 2 hours from Disney World. But you know, Stanley's quote talked about character. And the board knew character, but Stanley said, clarity is what people will follow. Any of you ever had an intense conversation with Chris Peak? He has a way of listening deeply, processing what you're saying, hearing you, all the while not having to prove he knows more about what you're talking about than you. It allows people to openly share what they're thinking and to express their inner feelings. And then he'll weigh in with an insight. That's clarity. You know, remember that in 2017, he said we have a strong foundation. Well, that's what led to 2019 announcing the Belmont campus, because he took that opportunity and with his team said we can apply for the certificate of need and we can do this. Don't let those beds go to somebody else. Well, when he was doing the big rollout, I was part of the group, some 60 business leaders he pulled together. He shows this great PowerPoint and video and all that. And somebody really quickly says, oh, that's really neat. You're going to put it right there. Somebody's going to, Charlotte, we'll see Charlotte skyline. Peak doesn't miss a beat. He says, excuse me, Charlotte will see CaroMont. That's a pretty clear statement for his leadership team. How did that partnership with Belmont Abbey come about? Dr. Thierfelder just touched on it, through relationships. And he spent time, Chris, with Dr. Thierfelder and the Abbott Placid in talking about the vision for healthcare needs and aligning the beliefs of CaroMont with the foundational beliefs of the Belmont Abbey Benedictine monks, to care for people. They've been doing it for hundreds of years in our community. He's like, we are the same people. And when one of the board members, after the deal was done, said to Abbott Placid, you know, how did this come about? That's such valuable property. And he said, I was dealing with a man of God who I could trust. The clarity was broader at the same time because Chris could see the needs for healthcare workers. So while he's meeting with Bill, he's meeting with me, and we're working together with Gaston College, Belmont Abbey, and the public schools, and all of a sudden the Board of Education is announcing the Health Sciences Academy at East Gaston High School. We didn't stop there. During COVID, we partnered with Gaston College for the first early college in the state of North Carolina dedicated to medical sciences. That's what's called leadership. Now, you can't be up here and talk about someone who's led for the last 7 years and not talk about the pandemic. While many people were unclear about masks, social distancing, and quarantining, Chris's team focused on solutions. How many of you in this room utilized the shot factory over at CaroMont? Organized, efficient. It was a model of a clear mission. When given the chance to speak about how that came about, Chris very quickly said, you know, we brought our IT people in because they understand processes, and they helped us establish that. And then they volunteered in there and worked and got to be a part of an outward facing where they're always behind supporting. That's what you call outside of the box thinking that leads to memorable outcomes. And a point of personal privilege, Gaston County Schools was one of a handful of districts that fall of 2020 went back to school in person. Chris's team was instrumental. Thank you. As Governor McCrory said, that wasn't always popular. But Chris's team was very helpful and insightful, but he didn't stop there. I'm sitting at the desk one day and I answered the phone. He said, hey, if I could figure out a way to give your teachers a vaccine, now remember, everybody across the country is just trying to figure out how to get a shot. If I could figure out how to give your teachers a vaccine, you think it'd go over? Needless to say, while others were still figuring out where supplies were, Chris worked a deal with the government, and over 2,000 teachers in this region received shots. That is the beauty of a community hospital being led locally. Chris, I know you're not going to speak to me for like 2 weeks. I'm not done making you uncomfortable, because all I've talked about is CaroMont and what the organization's done. But listen to what he's accomplished. A distinguished alumni of the Belk College of Business at UNC Charlotte, where, as I said, he was an honors graduate, but now he's been recognized that. And go and look at the people that he's been speaking with. Business North Carolina Magazine published their inaugural power list of healthcare leaders in 2021. Peak led the list and has been on the list every year since then. He was selected to chair the board of directors of the North Carolina Healthcare Association. This organization unites hospitals, health systems, and care providers. But he was selected by his peers to be the chair. He was invited to Washington, D.C. to address the congressional breakfast in Washington, D.C. We spent a lot of time together. He has never even told me about that. He is vice chair of the Board of Trustees at Lenore Ryan University, a member of the Community Foundation. But lastly, he's been recognized as a top 100 CEO locally, state, and nationally. As a long-standing resident of Gaston County, Chris's contributions have not only shaped the landscape of healthcare, but have also contributed to the economic and educational viability of our community. His efforts embody the spirit of the Carolinas, characterized by his commitment to progressive leadership and being part of this community. His accomplishments are a beacon for many of us as leaders on how to lead. And his legacy is one of impactful leadership. And this award is fitting. But I believe with everything that Chris has accomplished, this still doesn't define what he is as a man. His success is born out of one thing: being unapologetic about his faith in God. He puts God first. His wife, his children, and his unwavering support of those close to him second. And then he might think about himself third. It is my humble privilege to invite my friend Chris Peak up to receive the Spirit of the Carolinas Award.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. I'm really sorry that whoever you just spoke about is unable to be here this evening. So you're stuck with me. Dr. Booker, we have a lot to talk about after this is over. It's truly humbling to be able to stand here this evening with you. It was almost 7 years ago to the day that I stood in a room as a member of the CaroMont Board on the day that they surprised the world, including me, where they offered and invited me to become the CEO of CaroMont Health. It was that day, as the chair of the board at the time, that I was able to introduce the board to an individual by the name of Edwin Thomas. And so I want to introduce you this evening. Some of you may know who Edwin Thomas is, but in the event that you don't, I want you to leave here understanding who Edwin Thomas is, and I believe that will mean something to you like it does to me. You see, Edwin Thomas was a master of the theatrical stage. In the mid-1800s, this little man with a huge voice was unparalleled in his acting ability. You see, at the age of 15, Edwin Thomas acted as Richard III on the Shakespearean Theatre in London. And he earned the acclaim of very harsh London critics, to the point that he eventually, for 100 consecutive nights, performed Hamlet and the tragedy that Shakespeare had written there. But you see, Edwin Thomas, even though he was a master of tragedy on the stage, the tragedy in his life, quite candidly, even surpassed that ability. You see, Edwin Thomas had two brothers. One was named John, the other was named Junius, and they were also actors, not quite to his acclaim, but they performed together occasionally. And it was actually in 1863 that the three brothers took the stage together, and they performed Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. And the fact that Edwin's brother John played the part of the traitor Brutus was an eerie harbinger of something that was to come. Because it was that same John that in 1865 slipped into the back of Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., and put a bullet in the back of the head of Abraham Lincoln. Yes, their last name was Booth. Edwin Thomas Booth and John Wilkes Booth were brothers. You see, as a result of the shame, Edwin withdrew from the stage, and he probably would never have returned had it not been for a certain circumstance on a train podium in New Jersey. as the crowd stood there and Edwin stood there among the crowd, a little boy that was fine dressed was playing. And because of the force of the crowd, he was pushed over the edge of the podium, right in front of the oncoming train. And it was just at that moment that Edwin reached down and pulled the boy back onto the podium, saving his life. But you see, Edwin didn't recognize the little boy, but oh, the little boy recognized the famous Edwin Thomas. And it was not until just a few weeks later that Edwin received a letter that he carried in his pocket for the rest of his life. It was a letter from a current Army general that wrote to thank him for saving the life of Richard Todd Lincoln, the son of Abraham Lincoln. You see, two brothers, same parents, same family. One chose death, the other chose life. You see, choices have consequences. And in many cases, those consequences are amazing. They're wonderful. Just as was spoken earlier, my parents made a choice to answer a call from a pastor they didn't know, inviting them to come to a place they weren't very familiar with, for a job that didn't exist at the time, all for the promise of $86 a week. And they made the choice to come because of a vision to minister to people in West Gastonia. You see, my wife made the choice to say yes to this kid off of Spencer Avenue, whose backyard was Pleasant Ridge Elementary, and change his life and bring into this world two beautiful daughters. That one is now choosing to change lives in the classroom, and one in a couple of years will be saving lives in an emergency department. You see, choices have consequences. I have friends, many of them that are here tonight, that have poured into my life over the years. They chose to give a part of themselves to me. You know, some things are really important, and there's one that's here that really helped me understand as we would drive by this particular establishment going back and forth from his university, and the establishment said antique stripping. And he helped me understand that that was not a place where old people went to get naked. I later understand that that's actually a hospital. Amazing friends that pour into your life, like the one that stood here earlier before me, that has taught me the pricelessness of trust and respect. You see, there are others, such as a board, that made a courageous and crazy choice to say, hey, you know what? We need to hire a CEO. How about a guy that has zero healthcare experience? Let's start with that on the resume. That's our guy. But you know what? I recall a conversation with Miss Carter where she said to me, we're not hiring you to do surgery. We're hiring you to lead and inspire people to be their best. But the greatest choice that I've ever made is the choice to accept Christ as my personal Savior, because his teachings tell me that as Peter was writing to other believers in Asia Minor, he said that as each of you have received a gift, use it to serve one another and be good stewards of God's incredible grace. What choice will you make? What choice will you make in your place of business tomorrow where you create an opportunity for the next unexpected recipient somewhere down the road to be standing on this stage. I'll leave you with this. George Washington Carver probably said it best. He said that how far you go in life depends on how tender you are with the young, how compassionate you are with the old, how sympathetic you are with the striving, and how tolerant you are of the weak and the strong, because at some point in your life, you will have been all of them. Thank you, and God bless.
All right, now it's the opportunity of anybody, and I mean anybody, to come up here and speak after that. That was pretty good, Chris. That was very good. I expected a lot, but that was above it. Every award winner deserves what they received tonight and the recognition. And I hope what you see is the enthusiasm for Gaston County, the progress that we're making here, the collaboration that we have here, the inspiration that we have here, the possibilities that we have here. That's what's exciting for me to work with the GBA. It's exciting to be in a room with all of these leaders. You're all leaders in this community. And I just hope that we can keep this momentum moving. I've been inspired by this. I hope you all have, from everybody that spoke, frankly. And I appreciate your time and your energy to be here. I also, two housekeeping things. One is for the sponsors, award winners, and presenters. Please hold back. We want to get some pictures. And the wonderful table settings there, the flowers from Wild and Whimsy, they are for you to take. Please don't fight over them. Somebody at the table take them. But that's just for you as a memory of tonight. And I would be remiss if I didn't lastly point out that Madison Bowles and Belmont Abbey alum Megan Zelinsky, who doesn't want us to call her out, they put this together. They worked tirelessly for weeks on end, and I greatly appreciate both of them and the work that they put into this. Yes, thank you. All right, with that said, that concludes this. Thank you all. Be safe on the way home. God bless.